Hello and welcome to Knitting 101 Techniques Untangled, where we will cover 8 key skills to give you more confidence in your knitting. In this video, we'll be covering reading charts and patterns. Patterns can be a bit intimidating sometimes with all the abbreviations and symbols, but we will demystify all of that in this video. So when we're looking at knitting patterns, usually in the beginning, it will show sections for the sizing, materials, gauge, pattern notes, which are all key information that you need to get started. Sizing, you'll note if it's got multiple sizes, they'll split the sizing in with brackets. So in here I've done a little example, so this shows 9 sizes and they're split into brackets and bold. This will tell you what size you need to look at. So if you're looking at a particular size, if I'm making a jumper and I'm going to do size 4, I like to take a pen and circle them, and you know it's the third one in the first bracket, and you'll go through and find them for all the instructions you're looking at. Now, the key thing with looking at sizing and materials with needles is to check what measurement they're using. So for sizes, patterns will usually list in centimeters and often inches as well. Make sure you're looking at the correct one throughout. So if you choose centimeters, look at only centimeter measurements, or inches if you're using inches. With needles, you want to check the same. So patterns will list them in either millimeters or US sizes or even UK sizes, depending on the pattern. So make sure you pick the correct needle. Now, most patterns are written in abbreviations to make them fit easily on a printed page. Your patterns will have a list of the abbreviations used, usually at the beginning or end of the pattern. They'll be in either alphabetical order or the order they're used in. So these are some basic, simple abbreviations that you will come across. So cast on is often used as CO capitalized, knit with a K, knit 2 together, purl. If you see something like knit, they'll usually put a number next to it, which means the number of stitches you will be knitting. So when we're looking at charts, they'll be written for either knitting in the round or flat. We'll look at knitting in the round. So charts for knitting in the round will have the numbers on the bottom and on the side. When you're reading this chart, you're reading right to left. So you'll see the numbers start from the bottom. So the first row is the first row on the bottom, reading right to left, and then you'll keep going up one at a time. When I'm working from a chart, I like to use a post-it note or a postcard to keep track of where I am. So I'll put it along the bottom edge of the row that I'm working. So if you're doing round 1 there, when I get to round 2, move it up so I'm only looking at the round that I'm working. All charts will have a key on the side which will show you what the symbols mean. So knit is often plain. We've got knit 2 together and SSK, which are slanting in the directions that your decreases will actually be moving in. And these symbols often have the abbreviations next to them, so you can refer back to your abbreviations page in your pattern. So when you're working flat, it will look often similar to in the round, but you'll notice that the numbers running alongside the chart are split in half. So the odd numbers are on the right and the even numbers are on the left. This is because you will be reading the chart the same way, so bottom to top. The odd numbers are your right side rows, so you'll be reading right to left, and then the even, which will be the wrong side, you'll be reading left to right. So that correlates where the numbers are placed. So right to left, left to right. And again, you can use your handy postcard or post-it note to keep track of where you are, row by row. So some charts will show repeats. So in this chart, we've got a red square border, which shows a section that you will be repeating a few times in the pattern. This will cover the rows and stitches in that repeat. So when you're reading your pattern and it says repeat section it sometimes will have a name this many times, you know that you need to repeat it, in this case, from stitch 6 to 15 for that many rows. So that's your complete section. Some patterns will also include a written instruction for their repeats alongside the charts. So they will basically be written just as you would reading the chart, so from right to left. So it will use the abbreviation, so in this case yarn over SSK, your 1 by 1 twisted stitch, knit 5, and then purl. So you can use both written and chart instructions depending on your preference. So we've looked at repeats within a chart, so now we'll look at them in a written instruction. So in written instructions, you will see a repeat usually marked by either an asterisk or a bracket. They usually will have, so in this case, we've got both asterisks and brackets because we've got several sections repeating in the same line. And it will tell you as you read along what part to repeat. So I have repeat. If it's a bracket, it will have the brackets with a dash in between. So everything between the closed brackets you are repeating. In this case, the number of times according to your size. So pick your size depending on its position in the bracket. And at the end, you'll see also an asterisk. So here you'll see an example of where it's saying repeat between the two asterisks. And in this case, you're repeating until the last 5 stitches. So just to recap, if you were knitting this row, you would knit 1, purl 1. Now we're going to start a repeat section marked by the asterisk. So you will knit 3 or 4 stitches depending on your size, purl 1, and then we're doing another small repeat section within this larger one, which is knit 1, purl 1. And this knit 1, purl 1 will be repeated 2, 3, or 4 times depending on the size. And then everything we've just done between these asterisks will repeat again until we have 5 stitches left. So in some charts you will see grey sections, which will be referred to in the key as a grey or no stitch section. This means basically you will not be working those stitches. This is oftentimes used when you're shaping something like a shawl or in lace. It's basically you don't have stitches to work that space. Sometimes they will also show up without the grey, so it will just, the chart will zigzag, so in this case it makes a nice trapezoid shape. I hope that video has demystified those abbreviations and symbols so that you can tackle your next project. There are a whole bunch of other videos in this series, so please do check them out. I would recommend the cable video so you can see what we've just learned in action. Thank you for watching and happy knitting.